Morning, Shane. Thanks very much for joining us on Blue Notes. A couple of important executive announcements today. We'll start with the Deputy CEO. Graham Hodges is now retired from the bank. You've appointed Alexis George, who's the head of wealth. But why do you? Not everyone has a Deputy CEO. Why do you need one? What's the role?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And look, Graham, I have worked with in my entire time at ANZ actually really closely, but in particular in my time as CEO. And I found having somebody with that level of experience and breadth of knowledge really, really valuable. And it just kind of takes some of the burden. It's somebody to talk to about different issues with a different hat on, who's not necessarily talking about their division. And you know, we've got a broad range of stakeholders to engage with, and I mean, and even more so today than ever before, whether that's government, regulators, community groups, or frankly just our own people, and of course investors. So I found it really valuable to have. So when he told me he was retiring, and I've convinced him to stay as long as I can, I thought long and hard about replacing it actually, because you're right, you don't have to. But for me it's been really valuable, and I think it's an important role. And so I asked Alexis. I think she's really well skilled to do this, broad experience, thoughtful, lots of empathy for our people and also our customers, and brings frankly a different perspective, and she has a different background than I do.
So it's the sort of complementarity there in the sense that she's different. Does it mean that she's the next CEO?
No, not at all. She might be, but it doesn't mean that. I mean, you know, it's interesting looking at Graham. So what did Graham bring? You know, Graham brought, 20 odd years of knowledge, deep operational knowledge of ANZ. He's an economist by background. He's got, understands treasury, worked in Washington even. He's got that kind of perspective, which I found very different to me. Lex isn't that, but she's got a whole bunch of other skills. So I think, yes, having different, diverse opinions, being able to talk to somebody who comes at it from a different angle is incredibly valuable in these kinds of roles.
And she will maintain her current role as head of wealth. Yes. She's obviously had to front the parliamentary inquiries already. Wealth has recently been at the front and centre of the Royal Commission. We've sold a couple of wealth-related businesses, so it's still a critical part of the bank. So does it imply that she's going to spend less time with wealth? Or?
Well, not initially. So her day job, if you will, is to oversee a responsible and well-managed transition to our new partners of our superannuation and our life insurance business, and that's going to take certainly the next 6 to 9 months of pretty heavy lifting work. So she'll continue to be really focused on that, but she's got a strong team around her. And going back, you mentioned the parliamentary inquiry and things. Again, that was another reason for bringing in Alexis. She's well experienced in those. That whole stakeholder group is becoming increasingly important, and I think she did a fabulous job, and she was enormously helpful in there. So, but no, wealth is number one priority, but obviously there's a little bit of a horizon to that, because in a year's time we won't be operating those businesses. We'll have a different business. We'll still be in the planning business, and we'll then have to manage partnerships. And that's, you'll see in the announcement, that's what we've asked Lex to do. So she'll still manage those relationships with our new business partners.
And wealth then, even as we look beyond that horizon, wealth as far as Lex's role in it remains a sort of critical business.
Yeah, I think it does, and we've talked about, well, I know it does, and we've talked about this because, it's kind of easy for us just to run away from it. It's not very big, it's not an important part of the group in terms of, shareholder return or profits, but it's pretty important to our customers. I mean, what is wealth? It's really a couple of things. It's making sure you insure the things you care about and making sure you save for your retirement. Well, these are really good ideas. These are good things. I mean, it's quite interesting to me, and compared to some of the other products we have, which people don't need, they might want, but you don't need them. Actually, these things you really do need. You do need to save for your retirement, and you do need to insure things. So it's a responsible thing. So we should be in the business. We just got to figure out how to do it effectively. Now, clearly, as we're finding in the Royal Commission, we and others haven't done it very well. But that doesn't mean we should give up. So we're going to be really focused on being the very best customer-focused wealth business that we can be.
And the other announcement you've made today is that Mark Hand, one of the most experienced bankers, will join your executive committee. Do you see this as a sort of strategic refocus of the bank? Does it elevate a certain part of the business?
Well, it kind of brings another voice to the table that was clearly missing. And again, Graham did play a role in this, given his background. You stand back and think about our strategy. which when you boil it down has three really important customer pieces to it. One is about people who want to buy and own a home. One is about people who move goods and money around the region. But one that's really important is about being the best bank for people who want to start, run and grow a small business. When we looked around our exco, we didn't really have a voice for that. We do have a voice for the other two. We have lots of voices actually. And we felt that this was always kind of being left off the list. It was always failing whenever we looked at a prioritisation of resources, time, money, just thinking. Small business was always kind of deprioritised, and that was never our intent. So we want to have that voice back at our table. It's not my background, it's not something that I love it, I find it really interesting, but I felt that the Exco needed that voice strongly, and who better to do that than Mark? I mean, Mark has been at the bank 30 years, even longer than Graham Hodges, so he brings even more. He's widely experienced across the group, had all sorts of jobs over time, really well known. That's also a really important role that Graham played, somebody that people trust and know they can go and talk to if they don't want to talk to me or their boss. So Mark, I think, plays that role because of his experience. And, he just has an inherent and a kind of an intuition for this company that he loves deeply. I mean, one of the things about Mark is he really loves the company. He's been here a long time. It's his life, and like David Hisco and another. So to have people of that calibre and that experience on our team will, again, be additive to the team, will make us a better team.
And presumably he's the only member of Exco who's been a professional tennis player,
yes,
a stand-up comic and a boxer.
I know, he does have a diverse... I remember him when he first told me that. That was a bit surprising, yes. I'm not sure we're going to call on those skills too much, although stand-up comic may come in handy from time to time.
Well, thanks very much for speaking with us again, Shane.
Thank you.